What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another video. First and foremost, happy new year to everybody out there who has been supporting the channel, who watches my videos, who doesn't watch my videos. If you're new, whatever, happy new year to everybody. Hope you guys set some goals for yourself this year. I hope you attack your goals, full force, no regrets, and I hope you achieve everything that you want to achieve. Now, that being said, let me first say, excuse my eyes being a little low. I promise I didn't smoke. I'm just a little tired. I didn't get enough sleep last night, so I'm a little fatigued. But yeah, as you can see, before I get into the video, new background, finally. You guys don't gotta see that ugly ass freaking green screen in the back. I got some things going on now. I got a little Eagles light, whatever you call it. Got a little canvas painting, strip lights. So I'm trying. I'm gonna try to make it more appealing to the eyes, but this should do for now. But yeah, on a serious note, I wanted to talk about three things that I've learned working in the restaurant industry. More specifically, things that I've learned being a server thus far. Well, I can't say that because I feel like these kind of apply for different positions, but the main thing is that these things that I've learned are also things that kind of apply to real life situations, real life scenarios, everyday things. So let's get straight into it. I don't want to give you long-winded intro. First things first would be communication. Communication is key, and that's something that I've always preached on this channel dating back to my early days. But working in a restaurant, you really realize how important communication is, because you got to be able to let the servers know, hey, like, I just did this, I just did that. You got to be able to let people know that you're serving your guests, hey, like, we don't have this, we don't have that, or your food will be out shortly, or, your apps are in, things of that nature. So I always try to do my best. I still got to work on this, but I always try to do my best. If I'm running somebody's food, I'll run it out to the table. I'll be like, hey, just serve your entrees. Or, hey, just, serve your appetizers to table whatever, Or, if a table asks for something like, hey, can we get napkins, or can we get a side of, honey mustard, or whatever the case may be, first I'll grab it, I'll bring it out to them, and I'll let them know. I'll let the server know, like, hey, I just grabbed such and such for your table. they asked for it, whatever the case may be. Or, even if it's something like, if I'm bussing a table, because sometimes I do bussing as well, I'll be like, hey, your check's, on the table, on the chair, I left it on the windowsill, all that good stuff. So communication is definitely key when working in a restaurant. And again, it's something that I've always preached, but as I'm working in the restaurant, I realize just how important it is, and just how much I haven't been doing it up to this point. Haven't been a good communicator as much as I thought I was. But yeah, that's something that I'm still working day by day. I'm not perfect. You can hope to communicate every little thing to somebody and, to the people around you, but at the end of the day, they kind of have to, get a feel for what's going on as well. So you can only hope that they know is aware of what's happening, and that you don't have to tell them everything. But, some people are different than others, and you might have to, give them more information than you want. But that's, despite that, you always got to communicate, always got to let people know what's going on, what you're doing, all that good stuff. The second thing that I learned working in a restaurant is, what was it, man? I always blank out when I'm doing these lists because I forget what I just had. Checking your surroundings. Checking your surroundings is a big one. because when you work in a restaurant, I'm sure, some of you guys may know, it can get a little hectic. You know, you're going to be running around, you're going to be bumping into a lot of people, like literally bumping into a lot of people. I'm not saying you're going to be bumping into your friends from school. You're going to be bumping into people you might know in your local town. I'm saying like you're going to be bumping into people, shoulder checking them, bumping into you. So always got to make sure you are aware of your surroundings. For me, I've definitely have gotten into the habit of, just looking behind me, looking to my sides, and then, moving to wherever I need to go. Like if I got a tray of food and I'm about to lift it off the expo, I'm looking behind me, making sure the path is clear, and then I'll bring it out, But that's something that I've never done before. Working in retail, that's not something you really think about. That's not something you really, even have to worry about, because typically you have a lot of space and you can maneuver pretty well. But when working in a restaurant, you got to make sure you are aware of your surroundings, because one thing could go wrong. You're taking a tray of food out, you turn around, you smack somebody, and you smack like a whole tray of drinks on the ground, and it's a whole mess. So definitely got to be aware of your surroundings. Check your left, check your right, check behind you, and then, go on about your business. But that can also tie in with, just communicating as well. Because you grab the tray, right? You're bringing it out. You got to let them know, like, yo, I'm coming out. I'm coming in, corner, all that good stuff. So you definitely got to, that definitely ties in with communicating as well. Just being a good communicator, just being vocal, letting people know that you're there, letting people know you're passing by. So that would be number 2. Number 3, the third thing that I've learned working in a restaurant industry, and again, these all apply to everyday things. Before I go into number 3, number 2, with checking your surroundings, I'll be in the gym and I'll subconsciously like check my surroundings. Like if I'm at the what do you call it? Like the thing where you grab the paper towels and you spray it down. Before I do that, I look around me and then all right, I'm moving on. Or if I'm clearing some plates off a rack, or some plates off a barbell, I'll look around me, then I'll take the plates off. So that just goes to what I was saying in the beginning. Like these are things that apply to your everyday life, that you might not even realize it, but you're just subconsciously doing them because you work in a restaurant industry. But yeah, let's go back to number 3. The third thing that I've learned working in a restaurant industry is you gotta remain calm. You gotta stay cool. You gotta, not let the pressure get to you. It's hard. And I'm not gonna act like I'm perfect, because, it happens to everybody. We all get a little flustered. If things don't go our way, or food doesn't get out in a certain time, or if you make a mistake, those things can kind of get to you. But for me, I always try my best to just remain calm, take a deep breath. Sometimes I'll sing a song in my head, just to get my mind off it. But as soon as you begin to let things get to you and you get a little flustered, I feel like that's when it all goes downhill, because it's like a snowball that just is rolling down a hill, and it's picking up speed, and it's getting bigger and bigger. It's it gets bad. So definitely remain calm. Just don't let the pressure get to you. Don't let things rattle you as easy. Even if somebody's being an asshole. And I've dealt with it in retail. Like I've dealt with, some rude people, but you gotta just like let that shit go. Leave that bullshit at work. Once you get home, you're in your car, take a moment for yourself, do what you gotta do. If you smoke, I don't smoke anymore. It's been like 90 days, but if you smoke, smoke, release that shit. Don't think about it, and talk to yourself. Be like, yo, like, how was your day? What bothered you? This, that, and the third. And don't bring that shit home with you, because it can affect you if you let it. But definitely remain calm. Don't let the pressure get to you. And just keep a good attitude. Keep a good attitude, because like I said, as soon as you let something get to you, that's when it all goes downhill. And it just keeps piling up, one after the other. Next thing you know, you're behind. You're making more and more mistakes. Like, just flush that shit and keep it moving. And this applies for real life situations as well. Like, there'll be times at home where I'm like trying to upload a video, or I'm talking to my dad and he tells me something, and I'm like, like, I don't want to hear it. But don't let it get to you. And it's different, dealing with stuff at home versus dealing with stuff in a restaurant. It's kind of comparing apples to oranges, but the point still stands. Like, you cannot let things get to you that easy. You got to remain calm. Don't let the pressure get to you, and just remain persistent. Be resilient, and just keep pushing forward, because things are not going to go your way. And that's the main point that I wanted to tie in with everyday life. Things aren't always going to go your way, and you got to learn how to adjust, to pivot, and adjust on the fly and keep it moving. you know um but yeah, that'd definitely be the third thing that I've learned working in a restaurant. And I feel like that's probably the big thing that I've learned, because prior to becoming a server, I was kind of discouraged from wanting to become one, because I would see the way that my coworkers would handle certain things, and I would see them getting flustered, or them, getting upset, and whatever the case may be. And I'd be like looking at that like, damn, like, I'm not trying to be like that. But the key is, like, you don't have to be like that. You don't have to get as flustered as they may be getting. And to each his own. Like, everybody has their different way of handling things. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. Like, if that's you, like, do what you got to do. Handle it however you want to handle it. That's not to say that I'm better than you because I handle it a certain way. I'm just saying what works for me. What works for me is just remaining calm and just, keep it moving, because at the end of the day, it's just a job. We're just serving food, So it's not the end of the world, essentially. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I think that's a pretty good list. Like I said, those are all things that apply to everyday life, not just working in a restaurant, but just working in life, because these skills are gonna shape your experience. The things that you learned through the job that you work at are gonna shape your experience, are gonna help you navigate life easier, depending on the way you handle it, depending on the way that you take in this information, and depending on the way that you just react to certain things. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm pretty confident those are some good points, provided some good details. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. As always, I'm gonna try to do my best to upload more. I can't promise anything. I want to at least do like 2 videos a week. I'm thinking like 2 videos a week. I think that's doable. It's not hard to do. The thing that's hard for me is just thinking of ideas, and thinking of, yeah, like I said, ideas for videos, not to repeat myself. But that stuff just comes naturally. You kind of just have to let it come to you, and just experiencing life as well. Because the more experience you gain, the more you can share with people, So I feel like for me, I'm just trying to not make an emphasis, but just let it be. Let life come to you, let things come to you and just experience it for what it is. And then if, I feel inclined to want to share something, I'll do it. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Don't want to keep you here too long. Go on about your day. Do whatever you got to do. Peace, love, positivity. Love y'all. Take care of yourself. Peace.